Good afternoon. This is Eric Foster, co-founder of the Future Today and Tomorrow Super PAC. And I wanted to, as we're in this extreme constant battle for ensuring we still have a country where everybody is free, equal, and has their rights fully respected, I wanted to make a comment to those of my friends in the pro-democracy camp and on the Democratic Party side, especially. Right now, what we're facing can, I believe, be easily communicated, kind of part of my Make Truth Simple Again tour, to voters and non voters who are outside of the MAGA universe in a clear, direct, and simple point. The MAGA dictatorship party, formerly the Republican Party, does not care about any non MAGA American. So, to put it into kind of ghetto terms, they don't give a fuck about anybody who is outside of MAGA. So, it's not just the elected officials that they don't like, it's the voters. You who sit out and vote, you live, who raise your kids, who are parents, who work, who own businesses, they don't give a fuck about you as a human being, as an American, and they never will. And they're very clear in the things that they say when it comes to this. And so, as I'm doing this video for Democrats, I'm trying to do this from my phone. So, because I get a clearer picture when I'm doing this on my phone than when I'm doing this on my laptop. But there's a couple things that I wanted to show in terms of videos that I believe help really drive home this particular point that is critical, that I think is important for us to know in this discussion. And so one is, and I'm going to turn the screen around because it's from the CNN show with Abby Phillips, and one of the favorite MAGA dictatorship analyst, Scott Jennings, had this to say about Democratic voters and just people in general in Washington, D.C., regardless of who you voted for, in terms of your feeling about your city being taken over through the MAGA invasion with dictator Donald Trump. And so let me switch this over because I'm going to turn this on and see. Hold up. Okay. So that voters are not happy with what Trump's doing, don't feel safer, all of that.
I don't care what they think. I mean, these are the same people who elected the mayor and city council that ran the city's public safety into the ground in the first place.
You don't care what the residents.
They don't know what's good for them.
You don't care what the residents of DC think.
I do not. I do not care one bit. And I'll tell you something else.
I do remember just a couple of weeks ago you were saying, well, secretly DC residents really want this because they know the crime is so bad. Now we actually have the numbers that say, will Trump's federal takeover reduce violent crime? 65% say no, just 20% say yes. Do you feel like the presence of federal officers makes you feel safer, more safe, 18%, less safe, 61%?
Why would they say that? They're out arresting criminals. They're arresting illegal aliens. They're getting illegal guns off the streets. An MS-13 illegal alien was taken out off the streets the other night. They're obviously safer. But, there's another population that cares about public safety in D.C. It's all the people who visit there. We have people that go there, millions of people.
Okay. So, sorry about that in terms of the fun. But, so, as you can see very clearly, and this is someone who Donald Trump has brought on stage with him at events and talked about how great of an American he is, how he supports his consideration for running for the U.S. Senate seat in Kentucky. The U.S. Senate seat in Kentucky. This man says, I don't care what the residents of D.C. think, what they say. I don't understand why they don't want the the MAGA invasion in their city. I don't understand why they have an objection, but even if they have an objection and it's valid, I don't care what their objection is because we know what they need. They don't know what they need. So what he's telling you is MAGA doesn't give a fuck about what you think. They don't care about what you want. They only care about the people that vote for them. They only take into consideration the ideas, the thoughts, the feelings, the desires for policy of the people that vote for them. And for the rest of us, they don't care. And he was very honest. You know, some of them will not be as clear and honest as he is, but that was very honest. That was very telling. And, you know, you kind of have to say you appreciate the honesty here. And I'm going to go to something else that I think highlights this because this is what Donald Trump said on July the 3rd in Iowa at an event just before signing the Fuck Over America Act of 2025, which is also called the quote unquote Big Beautiful Bill, which is bullshit, but it's really the Fuck Over America Act. So let me play this and I'm going to switch the screen over so you can see what he says about us as Democrats. And let's see.
Not stand them with all of the things we did with the tax cuts and rebuilding our military. Not one Democrat voted for us, and I think we use it in the campaign that's coming up, the midterms, because we got to beat them. But all of the things that we've given, and they wouldn't vote only because they hate Trump. But I hate them too, you know that. So it's sort of the I really do. I hate them. I cannot stand them because I really believe they hate our country. You want to know the truth? I really do. I hate them. I cannot.
So let me bring it home and break it clear. So for you and any of the 75,017,613 Americans who voted for Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election, or any of the 81,283,361 who voted for President Joe Biden in the 2020 presidential election, or one of the 65,844,954 who voted for Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election, or if you're in one of the 19 states that voted for Vice President Harris, the 25 states that voted for President Biden, and the 20 states, along with Washington, D.C., in all three of those elections, who voted for Hillary Clinton for president, Donald Trump hates you. He hates you and considers you a traitor to the country. Says that you hate America because you don't support him and you don't support his ideas. So, Democrats, starting with California, this is going to be real simple. You need to make this about MAGA hate for non MAGA Americans. The fact that they hate non MAGA Americans, that they don't care what non MAGA Americans think, how they trash on California, hate Democratic majority voting states, hate and lie about Democratic majority voting cities and counties all across the country. You know, you have anywhere from 7 to 10,000 cities of the 32,000 cities in the United States, cities, villages, townships in the United States that vote majority Democratic in elections. They hate you. You have anywhere from 600, well, anywhere from 700 to 500 counties, well, 465 in the 2024 election, who vote majority Democratic. They hate you. And so in California, if you are a Green Party, a Libertarian, an independent voter, if you are a Democratic voter, if you're a non MAGA Republican voter, a real Republican voter, They hate you. They hate you. They don't believe you are worthy of a thought and an opinion. As Scott Jennings said, we know what is best for you. They're going to force themselves on you and take control of your right to live, your right to make decisions for yourself. Now, add that to what they're doing in terms of the shakedown of state governments, the shakedown of universities, of private businesses. You know, today there's this whole thing about Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel changed its logo. Cracker Barrel's a private business. They have the right to change their logo any fucking time they choose. And from Donald Trump Jr. to other MAGA folks across the board, they're angry that a private business changed their logo. Just like they were mad that Budweiser, as a private business, decided that, hey, marketing to people who are LGBTQ in America, other Americans, is not a bad thing. These people don't give a fuck about you. They hate you. They detest your living. And so, in our campaigns going forward, we need to personalize this. And I hate to say it, but that's just the reality of the facts on the ground. And as my grandma Foster always said, for you to be successful in life, the first thing you have to do is accept the facts on the ground and make your plans to achieve outcomes and success with the facts being what they are. You have to accept this. And I know that it's hard. You know, I saw the New York Times article about Andrew Cuomo running for mayor, ran as a Democrat, former Democratic governor, former Democratic attorney general, who is cozying up to Donald Trump and to the MAGA dictatorship, MAGA fascist, anti American movement to come in and hopefully save him so he can lead New York and be peaceful with Donald Trump. Basically, sell out the 8 million plus residents in the city of New York so he can have a job. That's not someone in the pro democracy camp. Now, don't take it as, oh, well, he's an older white Democrat, so we need to have issues with older white Democrats. Older white Democrats are our allies. They're trying to help us get out of this horror movie alive, just like we are. However, you have people like Cuomo who have decided, I'm just going to, you know, give up and sell out. But make this personal. One of the things that and why we encourage you to come to support us at the Future Today and Tomorrow Super PAC is because we feel we have an idea of how to execute this campaign, how to get out here and sell the message and communicate to the voters of what's going on and how to get them in this fight, how to get them to see that voting for any MAGA candidate is not only against their basic interests, but it's against their ability to be a normal, functioning citizen. These folks don't give a fuck about anybody. You saw the video, the other video I did that in regards to looking at the analysis of Rep. Good Lord, the state rep in Oklahoma. I forgot his name. But his blanket defense of the MAGA indoctrination education in Oklahoma, and as to say that education that's accurate, that's balanced, that's real in other states is somehow anti American and is destroying kids, and that other Americans who aren't MAGA are infiltrating education in other states. Other Americans are infiltrating American education. Come on, people. It's bullshit. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care. Parents who love their kids and their kids are gay or non binary or transgender, that's between the parents and their children. But MAGA is trying to get into records at hospitals to force their will on those parents and say that you can't raise your child the way that you're raising your child. You have to raise your child in a MAGA approved way. They don't give a fuck about you. So we believe that we can execute this case of how do you turn this fight around? How do you put it in make truth simple again terms? And how do you convey to voters and citizens the importance, but also the fact that government takes time? And so this is a clarion call because, as I mentioned earlier, from a stat vantage point, not only do you have the people who voted for Vice President Harris, President Biden, and former U.S. Senator, First Lady, and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, but you have the people that voted third party and the people that voted in the presidential election, skipped the presidential part, but voted for a Senate candidate or a House candidate or state or local ballot issues in that particular election. So let's look at the numbers. And so I'm going to flip this around one more time. Sorry for the fingers, so that you all can see clearly. Oops. 79,381,000 people voted for Vice President Harris, third party candidates, or voted down ballot and skipped the top of the ticket in the 2024 election. In 20, I'm just going to flip this back because this isn't coming out as good as I thought it would. But in the 2020 election, 85,887,100 people voted for President Biden, third party presidential candidates, and voted down ballot and skipped the presidential election. And then in 2016, 75,677,000, 676,043. I'm sorry, let me repeat that. 75,676,043 Americans voted for Secretary Clinton, third party candidates, or down ballot and skipped the top of the presidential ticket. When you add in 2024 the number of people who also voted down, didn't vote, you have 164,295,497 eligible citizens who didn't vote for MAGA. That's 68% of the eligible adult American citizens who didn't vote for MAGA. We at the Future Today and Tomorrow believe we have the ability to be a part of helping save our country by engaging that 164,295,439, that overwhelming majority. Don't let people lie and tell you that the world ended on 2024, or that you have to be overwhelmed, or that there's no way to fight back, or it's just too much. You know what? I'll take 1 point from Tim Waltz. We stop fighting for our country and our freedom when we're dead. I do this and my colleagues do this because we believe in this country. I do this for my children, both my deceased son Jamil and my son who's still here, Xavier. My colleagues do this for their family. We do this because we believe in our country, and we're not going to let someone or a group of people who hate us just because of the way we vote have that ability to marginalize, demonize, and vilify us as citizens. We don't have hate against them. We don't have malice against them, but we're not going to let them say fuck you and not respond electorally, economically, socially, spiritually, civically, and in other ways. No, we're going to fight. So please visit www.futurepack.today. Support us. Help us in this fight so that we can help the pro democracy side, and which includes Democrats, Independents, Green Party, Libertarian, U.S. Taxpayer Party, Workers' Rights Party, Worker Family Party, Independence Party, along with non MAGA Republicans. This is the Avengers moment. You know, at the end of the day, when in Avengers Endgame, when Cap, Thor, and Iron Man have fought Thanos, weren't able to get rid of Thanos by themselves, and Thanos called down his whole army. Everybody except for the Defenders characters like Daredevil and all of them came through the portals to help fight, which included the border tribes who had turned against T'Challa, Black Panther, in the Black Panther movie and sided with Killmonger. You know what? We're not enemies right now. We're friends because we're all fighting for the same thing. So this is the Avengers team up moment. This is where we need all pro democracy people. Doesn't matter what we do at the end of this horror movie that we're in. We need everybody who's willing to fight Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Michael Myers. So come on, join us in this battle. Remember, the message is real clear, real simple, starting in 2025 in California, New Jersey, and in Virginia. The MAGA leadership doesn't give a fuck about non MAGA Americans. Are you okay with that? And if you're not, get up, join us, and be a part of saving our country for us and them. This is Eric Foster. Thank you, and I'll catch you on the other side.